As almost any ancient city can tell you in its very stones, that changes in global trade patterns do matter. From here in Istanbul, the Ottoman Empire ruled almost all of the Middle East for over 400 years. But the problem was the Ottoman Empire never had an industrial revolution like the United States and Europe, and the empire went into debt. That debt helped draw it into World War I. The empire joined the wrong sides. It lost World War I and lost everything. Also in this region, there used to be a civilization called the Nabateans. The Nabateans ran camel caravans in Arabia, and they did very well with it. They built the city of Petra in what is now Jordan. But then the Romans came and built roads, and the more roads they built, the less need there was for all of these camel caravans, and so went the Nabateans. Now, changes are underway right now in this part of the world, also in global trade, that could be very significant. For the last 100 years, the Middle East has been associated with one product, oil. Exporting oil, pumping oil, financing oil, and the United States has been a major customer. That is changing. The United States is still buying a lot of oil, but consider this fact. A few months ago, North Dakota produced almost as much oil as Iran exported. Of course, Iran is facing sanctions. It's difficult for Iran to send its oil out of the country. But that fact that the United States is producing a lot more energy, and North America in general, could have a major impact on this part of the world. First of all, prices. The United States, as it produces more energy throughout North America, analysts predict that the prices globally over time are likely to go down. And that could be a big problem for many governments in this part of the world, because several Middle Eastern governments have become dependent, spoiled, if you will, by the oil that is beneath their soil. According to an IMF study, Iraq, Iran, Libya, and Yemen in particular all need oil to stay above $100 a barrel just to survive. So if North America is producing more oil, prices could fall below $100 a barrel over time, and that could spell really significant problems for at least those regimes, maybe even regime collapse. Another significant issue is more political, perhaps even psychological. If the United States doesn't need the Middle East so much, isn't as dependent on the Middle East for oil supplies, for energy supplies, well then, will the United States, will Washington be as focused on the Middle East, and will the Middle East be such an important foreign policy priority? Of course, the U.S. has interests here, Israel among them, free trade among them, and certainly will stay engaged in the Middle East, but will it be engaged to the same degree that it has been for the last several decades? The answer is probably not. Other countries that will be buying more of this region's products, namely China and India, will take on a greater responsibility and take on a greater role. Will that be good for the Middle East? Perhaps. It's not that the United States has done such a great job guaranteeing stability here for the last several decades. Or could it be worse? Experience has shown that when China gets involved with trading partners, it doesn't ask very many questions and has been willing to accept even some of the most brutal regimes as long as the natural resources keep flowing. So what is in store for the Middle East as these new trade patterns emerge? Certainly major changes.